Well, hello, here we are at the Festival of Discovery in the rainforest at the Eden biome, and I am with a superstar of the environment movement and a personal heroine of mine, and I know of many, many people across both the global south and now emerging like the U2 of the environment in the northern hemisphere. We're going to have 15 minutes of rock solid conversation because I think that's about all any of us have got time for these days. So Vanessa, welcome to Eden.
Thank
and
you.
What a thrill to see you in the flesh. Of course, I met you last night for the first time,
Yeah.
launching, by the way, her marvellous book, which is here, A Bigger Picture. And it's darn good. So, let us talk about you and how you've come to be, icon is an overused word, but how you've become this symbol of a growing or emergent interest and passion in Africa to redress the imbalance of the northern commons. Talk to me about your journey from being a demure student, not wishing to rise above the parapet, to whom you are now.
Yeah, before studying activism, I was doing a bachelor's degree in business administration. And in my last year of university, I majored in marketing. So by that time, I was really thinking of doing a master's in business administration, doing a professional course as well in marketing, because it kind of helps you when you're applying for a job, like you have a bigger advantage, and probably looking at doing a doctorate. And my dad always joked around calling me Dr. Nakate, and yet I didn't do like medicine or any doctoral studies. So those were the things I was really thinking of doing while at university. But towards the end of 2018, I started to do a lot of research about some of the challenges that were affecting the lives of the people in my country, Uganda. And it's in that period that I got to know how the climate crisis was brutally impacting the lives of the people in my country. You know, with the floods, with the droughts, with the landslides, it was something that was happening right now. And in that moment, I decided that I would become a voice in the climate movement. I would start striking for the climate after seeing Greta strike every Friday in Sweden. And I guess that is how the whole journey started into me being a climate activist.
And with that emerging interest in the environment and climate in general, has that changed your perspective on the future that you now want to take?
Yes, before becoming an activist, like I said, I really wanted to do so much in business administration and become like a professional in that. But now I'm really looking at, you know, doing maybe a master's or studies in environmental issues. And those are the things I'm thinking of right now, probably doing a master's, yeah.
In terms of marketing team, if any of you out there would really like to have a super student, here she is. We will support her. Okay, well look, we talked about this last night, the extraordinary explosion of interest after, in your book, in the introduction, it's lovely about how you started with making one poster, you know, at home and standing on the 4 squares in Kampala, and then you went to Davos, and then all hell broke loose. Do you want to tell us the story about how you grew by doing that and your family joined you? It was lovely the way your dad, you were worrying whether he was going to be angry, but he was actually pretty proud of you, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Which was really lovely in the book. I'd then like you to perhaps riff on going to Davos and that dreadful Associated Press nonsense, because I think our viewers would really like to join in your anger, your righteous anger. May we do the run up to it?
Yeah, a few months into my activism, I got an invitation to the UN Youth Climate Summit, and that was in New York. And I was surprised to get that invitation, and my parents were also very surprised. My dad had to check to see if it was actually real or someone was trying to scam or prank me. And when he realized that it was actually authentic, everyone was so excited about that. But I remember when I was having the meeting with some of the officials who sent me the invitation, I asked why I had been invited, and I was told that along those months my work was being followed up by different people on my social media. And to me, it came really as a surprise. I thought I was just sharing my pictures of the climate strikes on social media, not knowing that people were actually watching that. So when I went for the UN Youth Climate Summit, that was like an opening for the rest of the international conferences that I started to attend. Because after that, I was invited for the COP25 in Madrid, and then I got that invitation in Davos. I remember getting to Davos, the first experience, it was extremely cold.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was going to be cold because the Arctic Base Camp told us that they would give us like winter wear, but I didn't really prepare myself with my hands, so I didn't have any gloves on, and it was extremely cold. Yeah, but
wasn't the clue in the word Arctic base camp?
yeah, and later on I did a number of activities with some activists with the Arctic Base Camp, and then on Friday I also got this invitation to do the press conference with other activists who are from Europe, and I was really excited because it was an opportunity for me to talk about my experience, to talk about some of the challenges that the people in my country were facing and the people across the African continent. Because often when you find yourself in a space whereby you're the only black person or you're the only African person, suddenly you start feeling like you need to talk about this and this and this so that it gets really a wide coverage with a kind of platform that has so many journalists. So I remember talking about some of the issues that were affecting the people in Africa. And I remember one of the things that I emphasized was the importance of listening to every voice, and that there are activists from different parts of the world. And for us to have climate justice, we'll have to listen to every activist. So later on, when I see this article and picture that was posted by the AP, I was really surprised that I had been cropped out. I could see a part of my jacket in the picture. And when I went to read the article, I wasn't introduced as one of the activists there, and also my message wasn't included. So I was really frustrated to see that everything that I had said at the press conference, it meant nothing, because I really emphasized the importance of listening to different activists. And at this point, I realized that I was erased and my story was erased. And it was a very heartbreaking moment and frustrating moment. But still, in that place, I got the strength to ask the question why I had been cropped out. And when I did that, a lot of support really came in. And I think that is one of the reasons for me being here and for me continuing to do activism.
What a horrid thing. I think in the talking of it, I think for all of us, we can sort of sympathize, but to have it actually happen to you must be terrible. Yeah. I meant to ask you this last night. What did Associated Press say? I mean, surely that was like a firing. Was someone fired for that?
No, I don't think so, but they sent an apology, and they explained that there's a building behind me. So I think in journalism work, maybe the picture wasn't like the best, and it would only be the perfect picture for sharing on on an article with me being cropped out. But the funny thing is, we were two people at the ends, and the building was behind literally, I think, both of us. So, or all of us. So the disturbing thing is that they chose to, crop me out. And later on, when people started to complain and ask, why I had been removed from the picture was removed, and more pictures were shared where I was, I was in the center. So it was kind of hard to, understand whether it was because of, composition. They use the term, I don't know, or not.
Gosh. Well, let's not dwell on that anymore. Let's hope Associated Press now feels so guilty that every time you speak they give you double coverage, because you're worthy of that. Tell me what you have as you're journeying up to COP in the next few days. You are addressing the main group of people there, which must be terrifying. How do you feel as a person getting up there? I know you're representing a lot of other people, but actually it is you, Vanessa, Vanessa from Kampala, who's just done a degree and doesn't, it's suddenly the whole world is looking. How does that feel inside?
It feels really strange. Even like with the very past weeks, I've just been so busy with interviews and also working on the book, A Bigger Picture. And when I think about, going to the COP and possibly speaking at the COP, it makes me feel nervous, and I think it's the same way I felt when I was going to speak at the Youth Summit in Milan. So usually I feel nervous and I feel really scared to look at people and, to start to speak. But when I do, it becomes, much easier as I continue to speak. So I'm really looking forward to possibly speaking at the COP and talking about some of the most important issues, and hopefully this is something that would, bring effect or cause change in some of the decisions that will be made by the leaders.
I find that when you talk to important people, the way to stop being nervous is just to imagine them in their underpants. No, I'm really looking forward to that. Any of you who haven't seen the extraordinarily powerful speech that Vanessa made in Milan should do it. It's 11 minutes and about 40 seconds of pure joy and, what do you call that? Proper anger. I like it. You bristle on stage. Look, Vanessa, we're coming to the end of the 15 minutes, and I could talk to you for hours, and I hope that, once COP is finished, we can stay in contact and work together, because I would very much like that. We were talking before the show, hoping that maybe you come over for a cup of tea to the Eden stand up at COP, and maybe we can get you together with some of our other chums in the same arena, Hindu, who I think who's a great fan of us and also champion of Eden. Who's also going to be speaking on the Festival of Discovery, and also my sister-in-law, who is the climate change envoy for the Maldives. I think you've got a lot in common, and I love the idea of this powerful voice that people can't say no to. All power to your elbow, as they say, and anything we can do to help your cause, just whisper it and it's done, all right?
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the show, and everybody, a silent big round of applause at home for Vanessa Nakate.
Thank you.
Vanessa, I made a schoolboy error. When I dived down there to get your book, the book that I picked up and put in front of the screen was the draft copy, which doesn't even have the title on it. I should have done, hello, look at this amazing book here, A Bigger Picture with Vanessa Nakate. I should have also given a link to your marvellous speech in Milan. So I do apologise. We'll try and put it right,
Yeah.
But I'm kicking myself. The really interesting thing to so many people watching today is how you went from being a person in the attic of your parents' home to being a global phenomenon. The growth bit, how did that happen?
Yeah, when I held my first climate strike, I was joined by my siblings and some cousins as well. And when we did the strike, after that, my siblings had to, go back to school, prepare for school, and my cousins had to go back to their homes. So for a while, I continued doing the strikes by myself. But later on, more young people in Uganda started striking every Friday. We've seen more young people in Africa, also different parts of Africa, coming up and striking. So what I can say is that the movement has, really grown, not just in Uganda, but across the African continent, as young people understand the urgency of the problem and realize the challenges that people are facing. And I would just like to add as well, for those who would love to do something, not everyone, feels comfortable going to the streets. There are many ways that we can do activism. You can go to the streets, you can sign a petition, you can write to your leader in your community. So whatever action you choose to do, it can actually be able to transform the world and make it a better place.
Well, I wish I'd asked you that before. It's a pity we weren't. You are recording. That's brilliant. Can we cut that in? Yes? Hooray. Marvellous.